Welcome back, Gems, to another wonderful episode of the Grateful Gem podcast. I am your host, Jasmine Shannelle, and I can't wait for you to hear today's topic. Gems are definitely going to be dropped, so make sure you tune in and stick around. Let's get into it. What's going on, Gems? I'm so excited that you have tuned in to yet another wonderful episode on the Grateful Gem podcast. For you. First, I just want to say thank you for playing this episode. Thank you for being consistent while I'm being consistent and listening, and as I am recording and sharing. Today's topic is going to be about what to do in your meantime. Because I know that, to be honest, we're all expecting something for God to do, right? Like, we're always expecting God to do something, whether it's just change our mindset, heal somebody, heal us, help us forgive, help us forget, help us, have a better mindset, help us take more risk and faith, help us have more faith, whatever. Yeah, look at my voice today is acting crazy. But whatever you are believing God for, small or big, I just have a quick question. And that question to me is fairly simple. And that question is, what are you doing in your meantime? Until God shows you that He's already delivered you from that thing or delivered you through it, because He's going to. Or if you waiting on Him to provide, if that hasn't come to you yet, what are you doing in the meantime while you wait? Because I think that sometimes we downplay how important the waiting part of God doing a miracle is. Like, we take the time to be like, oh, I've been praying for this for years and it hasn't changed, and I'm waiting for God to do something big in my life, and da 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 da. But what are you doing in the meantime while God is while God has yet to reveal to you that He's done it? Because we know that even when it feels like God is doing nothing, He's doing everything. Even when God is silent, He's moving and speaking on our behalf. Sometimes we may not hear Him, sometimes we may be distracted, sometimes He's not speaking directly to us, but He's speaking to our situations. He's moving those mountains. And so what are you doing in the meantime while God is making it happen for you, or telling you that He's already made it happen? What are you doing? Are you complaining? Are you having a negative mindset? Are you walking by faith and not by sight? Are you consistently reminding God of, I know your wonders, I know your works, I know what you've done for me in my past, I know that you did it for so-and-so, you can do it for me, I know that you have touched the lives of others, you can touch mine. Like, what are you doing in the meantime while you wait for God to show up the way that you're believing that He's going to show up? Are you even believing that God is going to show up? That's the biggest question, right? Like, sometimes, believing or having the thought of believing is really cool. It's like, oh, I believe God's gonna do it, or I have faith that God's gonna do it. But it's like, in reality, when things don't go our way, or when things show up that doesn't look like God gonna do it, this ain't what I asked for, when those type of things happen, what do you do? Like, do you standing still on what you believe God for? Do you stay walking by faith, or do you start like, oh, well, here I go again, this is why my faith wavers, and this is why I can't really trust God, because He don't really be coming through like He said He gonna come through, even though I be reminding Him of His wonders, reminding Him of His work. He ain't even showed up for me. He did it for pun over there, or Pookie around the corner, and they not living right. They don't even know God. They don't even trust God. So, why would He do it for them and He won't do it for me? Like, is that your attitude when you're waiting for God to show up? Because if it is, and I'm gonna be honest, sometimes that's me. Sometimes I'm not comparing myself to, what He did for somebody else, but I get real in a frustrated state, and I say, well, I'm doing that same thing. Well, God, I thought you was gonna do it. I believe that you were gonna do it, but it don't feel like you gonna do it, because if you was gonna do it, you would have did it by now. And I really don't understand why you haven't done it, because I've been praying to you about it. I gave it to you. I'm walking by faith. I know what it looks like. It don't look like it's gonna happen, but I still trust you. Like, are y'all like me sometimes? Because if we can be real, I can be honest and say that sometimes I get like that. And recently I made a decision to try my hardest not to be that way. One morning I woke up and I said, you know what, Lord? Playing this back and forth game, being complacent and half foot in, half foot out the door, it's not working no more. One day I'm walking by faith, the next minute if something happened, I'm walking by sight. Next minute I'm walking by faith, I'm walking by sight. Like, that gets aggravating, not only to God, but to us. Like, God knows that He's going to provide. He knows that it's already done. We know that it's already done. But when we put a time frame on, sometimes we're in a rush and God's not. So we're expecting God to do it now, and God's like, nah, you need to wait another week, or you need to wait another 2 months, or you need to wait another hour. Sometimes it's not really the time frame that's important. It's about how you show up when you believe what God is going to do for you. So in your meantime, what can you do to show God that not only do I know you're going to do this for me, but I believe you're going to do it. Not only do I believe, but I'm walking by faith that you're going to do it. Not only am I walking by faith and I believe that you're going to do it, but when stuff comes around my way, I'm going to talk to that thing and it's going to move like mountains move when I speak to it. Because at the end of the day, I know that you're going to show up. And I was literally just having a conversation with one of my friends, and I told her, I said, girl, there's been so many things that have been sent to deter us from the path that God has chosen for us. I said, and it feels like now, in the beginning, they were coming, but it was like you had a little gap. Like something would happen here, and then like a week or two later, something would happen. But I said, now we're at a point where stuff is happening back to back to back to back, like in the same day. Like the other day, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram and Facebook if we're friends, but I shared in my story, I have these things that I call transparency moments, because I want to let you guys know that I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and sometimes I don't show up as my best version of me because I'm frustrated and I'm acting out of frustration. And so the other day I had a situation where I thought something was being improved, thought we was doing the best that we could to make it better, and I felt like everything that had happened before was just like, okay, this was okay. Obviously I'm seeing something different, because why is this still happening if we're making progress, right? Why are we still here if we're moving forward, right? Why does it feel like we're going backwards if we're really moving ahead? And so I got frustrated, and I was just like, and not only did that happen, but something else happened, and I was in that same day, and it kind of made me question a lot of stuff, and I'm just like, what in the world? And I had a reminder. And I remember one day when I went to church, I'm a member of Celebration Church, Pastor Tim Timberlake, Tim. But I'm a member at Celebration, and I remember he said that you have to create a memory, because even when the devil tries to get you isolated from what God tells you and what God's word says about what we go through in life, we have to remember or go back to those memories that, okay, God, you did it before. And it didn't look like what it was supposed to. It didn't feel the way it was supposed to, but you still did it. And so I said all that to say that in those moments that you feel stuck or you feel bogged down, you have to remind yourself that God did it before, He'll do it again. So you create those memories so that you can look back on them, write them down, but also get a visual representation of what it looks like when God shows up for you. And so the other day, like I was saying earlier, I had a conversation with my homegirl, and I said, well, girl, it seems like stuff just keep coming. I said, but you know what? I feel like we're closer. Are you loving this episode? Great. Don't forget to leave your feedback by rating and leaving a review on Apple iTunes. Also, don't forget to subscribe anywhere, wherever you're listening to this podcast. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram to keep up in the know of what's going on with the podcast. Okay, let's get back to the episode. To reaching the goal or to receiving what God has for us. So in those moments, the devil wants us to be distracted. He wants us to give up. He wants us to focus on the things that are sent to distract us instead of focusing on the bigger picture. And so that's why I asked you guys, in your meantime, what does it look like and how are you handling it? Because some days are better than none, and I just want to help you get to a point where you can say, okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I trust God. And I know that if the devil is fighting me this hard, or if I'm being tested this hard, that my breakthrough is on the way. Because sometimes everything is sent to, deter you is not from the devil. Sometimes it's a test of, your faith. It's a test of how things are, going to work out. It's a test. So it's like, are you going to pass it or are you going to fail? And so one morning I woke up and I decided, I said, you know what? I've been doing this for too long. Like, I have just been back and forth and forth and back. I just cannot continue to keep doing that. So I decided that I was going to allow myself to feel the way I feel, but to handle situations better. And so I am put in a predicament where I'm sometimes speaking later after a situation occurs. Sometimes I find myself not speaking at all once the situation has happened, because I'm like, this thing is really trying to get me upset. And I had something happen the other day, and I was just like, these things just back to back. Like, y'all just trying to get me knocked down. Like, y'all want me to literally cuss y'all out. Like, y'all want me to go back to the person that I used to be. But I told myself that I'm no longer that person, and I'm going to handle things as an adult. I'm going to correctly communicate to you. I'm going to tell you my issue, and then from there I'm going to pull back and I'm going to see how you still react. And that's why I said I had an issue with some things, and I was just like, well, I thought we was doing better, but now I feel like we're doing worse. And I was just like, you know what, it ain't even you. Sometimes the thing that's sent to aggravate you ain't even them, or it ain't even that situation. It's the devil trying to get you distracted, or the Lord sending you a test. Like, are you going to stay focused? Are you going to stay diligent? Are you going to stay disciplined and a great steward of what I'm giving you for what you're getting? Or are you going to just say, okay, I give up. Like, I can't keep doing this. I've been going through this for a year, and then when am I supposed to be blessed? When am I supposed to be healed? When am I supposed to look like what I feel like, or feel like how I look? Like, what are you doing in your meantime that is holding you back from the blessing that God has for you? Because your mindset isn't right. Your vocalizing isn't correct. You aren't doing the things that you need to do in your meantime. That's just like if you have issues with healing, or you trying to let go of something, or you're trying to forgive and you're trying to forget. In the meantime, until that happens, what are you doing to make sure that, okay, I don't keep going back to that place of hurt, or I don't keep sabotaging relationships because of my attitude, or because I know I have an emotional spending problem. I'm going to check my emotions and check my wallet over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the things that you're doing in the meantime? Sorry, you guys. It's a plane coming over. So if you hear that, don't mind it. Hopefully you can still hear me. Don't get distracted. See, and that's crazy too, because things like every time I get ready to record my podcast, stuff happens and I get sidetracked. As I was recording the first part, I got a phone call, and then now all this noise is all of a sudden in my background. So if you hear the noise, don't worry about that. Worry about what I'm saying. Because things are going to be sent to the deteriorate. That's just like if you ever in a moment where you're sitting down, you're like, I'm finna pray, and then you start praying and you're like, dang, did I turn off the oven? Did I turn off my flat irons? Did I eat lunch? Let me call such and see, and then, Lord, I'll come back, and then you never come back around to praying, or then you start back praying, and then something else, I'm like, dang, I need to get gas. Did I get gas? Did I leave my card? Let me see, how dead is my phone? Is my phone connected to the Bluetooth? Because that's important. Like, that's how easy it is to get distracted, and I can't be the only one that goes through that, because I'm telling you, every time I try to start praying, my mind literally goes 10,000. Did I get milk for Noah? Does he need milk? Where I'm going? Because I mostly do a lot of praying in the car and spending time alone with God in the car, just riding in silence and just praying. And sometimes I get a text message, I get a tear. Sometimes I want to turn on the radio and sing. I just start singing Skeletons, or like the whole Blueprint album. If you go, don't leave, come back. And I'm like, Lord, I'm supposed to be praying. Like, how you praying, but you talking about don't go, don't leave? Like, girl, what? You talking about skeletons and you supposed to be talking to the Lord? Like, that happens to me all the time. And I'll literally, sometimes I'll be like, let me just put it on real quick, I'm gonna sing it. And then I'll be like, Lord, I'll be back. Like, I'm being so real, because you guys, I keep it real with you guys. I ain't sugarcoating nothing. I ain't perfect out here, but I am working on perfecting how I use my faith and how I let situations deter me. I've been going through a lot, you guys. I've been going through a lot, but I said, you know what? I am not gonna keep wavering. I have to stay stagnant. Not stay stagnant. Lord, see, there ain't nobody but the devil. I have to get out of staying stagnant and complacent in situations that are comfortable, and I have to step out with God and take risks. And also, an episode that can help you through this is comfortable and safe. If you are in a place where you're stuck and safe because you're afraid of what taking risks with God look like, or just taking risks with faith, period, go listen to comfortable and safe. That is going to bless you, because if you need a push, it's going to definitely push you. And that's what I'm here to do, push you into purpose. And that's something that I'm also praying for, that you get around people who can push you into purpose, because that's what I'm praying for myself. And allow the people that are falling off for you to fall, and they may catch up to you later, or it may never come around, or you may get in a situation where, I was telling my homegirl this earlier, I said it's at a point where friends are becoming associates are becoming acquaintances, and acquaintances are becoming strangers. And sometimes you have to allow that to happen, because the people that are attached to you, everybody can't go where God is sending you, and you have to know that. It's honestly a sad reality, but it's very much true and very much necessary. And sometimes that somebody ain't just people, it's your job, your finances, your bad habits, your attitude. Like, some things that are attached to you cannot go where God is taking you. And if you're in a place of elevation, and I feel like we're in a season of now, God is going to do it now. As long as you step up and do what you're supposed to do, now can be now, or now can be later. I need to make a podcast episode on that, because that's important. Because if you don't do what God's telling you to do, you prolong your blessing. God wants to bless us. So it's like, are you going to get blessed now, or are you going to get blessed later? Because you kept deterring your faith. You kept walking backwards instead of forward. And the more you move forward, you got knocked back harder, because something harder. And if you notice, every time you take 2 steps, it gets harder. Every time you take 1 step, it gets harder. But it's like, okay, that's like if you're walking in a hurricane or a tornado, and you see the people out there on the anchor on the news, and they're just like barely making it, or barely standing up, barely walking. That's how it is sometimes walking through a journey with God. It's a storm, and things are going to be sent to knock you down. You got chairs flying in the wind. I just had a visual. Excuse me. I just had a visual representation of like what that looked like. Like, I'm literally sitting here like pretending to walk, and I'm dodging. Like, for real though, that's how it is though. Like, sometimes you do these stuff, like, just imagine somebody trying to punch you, and you like, oop, nope, and then somebody trying to punch you like 2 jabs. You like, oop, like, you gotta move faster. That's how it is. Like, sometimes you literally have to be in a boxing ring, and you gotta weave and bob, duck and hide, because things are gonna be sent to catch you slipping. Y'all know what that means. Don't act bougie on here. But it's like, for real though, you have to pay attention, because things gonna come your way. Even when you get what you're praying for, there are gonna be times where you want to give up. There are gonna be times where you forgot what you prayed for. And sometimes, or not sometimes, but a lot of times, the things that we pray for and the situations that we are in is shaping us for what God has for us. So sometimes you have to remember that because it's no now doesn't mean it's no later. It may not be denied, it may be delayed, but don't put a delay on a denial. Because sometimes people do that. They'll put it ain't gonna happen now, but it'll happen later, on something that's just so far-fetched that you know God ain't finna bless. And you keep holding on to it. That's like, for instance, for me, y'all know that I moved to Atlanta in 2017, stayed there for a year, came back. I regretted it. Like, I did not want to come back, but I knew it was the right decision. And I had been holding on to the fact that I was going back to Atlanta ever since last year before I got pregnant. When I got pregnant, my life was turned upside down, because I had plans to be back in Atlanta this year. But no, I had to get pregnant. And I said, well, I don't want to move my baby to Atlanta, away from his family, and away from my family, because I don't want to ever be in a situation where somebody could say, oh, you took my son from me, or you took my nephew from me, or you took my cousin from me. Because there's people that want to be in his life. The people that ain't gonna be in his life, they just ain't. Right here in Jacksonville, Florida, they just ain't. But the people that want to be involved, I don't want to make it harder for them to see him. I don't want it to just be, oh, we see him on pictures, or we see him on FaceTime, or we see him on video calls. Like, if you want to be involved, I want you to be involved too. So I had to make that decision realistically and say, okay, God, this happened because I'm still holding on to something that you said no to. You let me go and I came back, and I'm talking about it's delayed. No, baby, it's not delayed, it's denied. You're not going back. You need to let it go. Throw it away. And it breaks my heart, because sometimes, have you ever heard that saying that sometimes you gotta see God do it for somebody else? Let me tell you, one of my homegirls, one of her friends just moved to Atlanta, and she talks about it, and I was just like, and I told her, I said, ooh, that just grinds my gears. Like, I really want to go back to Atlanta. Like, even now, I don't hold on to the idea, but I just think about it, because I'm human, right? I still have feelings. I feel the way I feel, and I wanted to go. So I was telling her, I was like, man, you know I want to go back to Atlanta. And she was just talking about it, and in my head I'm thinking, I went, I saw, I conquered, and I came back. Like, sometimes you really have to sit and watch God do it for somebody else, and just accept the fact and lay at the altar that God is not going to bless you in that way again. And I had to realize that was a season of me. I went, I loved it, I still love it, and you know, if it comes back around, thank you, but right now it's just like, nah, it ain't happening. And I feel like it'll be after, like, my son is grown if I ever go back, like I said. But I just want to help y'all get unstuck and walk through your in the meantime correctly, because in the meantime, that time is so important, because you can hinder your blessing, you can push your blessing back further and further and further if you're not walking in your meantime correctly. Your mindset shifts that. The people you hang around shifts that. What you do shifts that. How you pray shifts that. What you believe in God for. How you answer your trials and tribulation. How you handle situations. All of that stuff plays a big part in your me time. Because if you asking for God to say, okay, say you, something so simple, Lord, I just want to be able to save $30 a month. Every paycheck. You say you get paid every week. Let's go as, you know, let's make it a little extreme. Because you're like, well, I get paid every 2 weeks. I can save more than $30. But some people can't. You know, so, but let's just say you get paid every week, and you're like, okay, Lord, starting on October 1st, I want to save $30 every paycheck so that I can pay off all my debt, or buy a house, or buy a car, or do what I need to do, or just get out of debt, like whatever your goal is. And then you don't got paid. What's today? Today is the 20th. So you don't got paid on the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, or we can't really count the 1st because that's for the last month. So let's just say the 8th, the 15th, and then you're going to get paid this Friday. So you had 2 paydays that count for October, and you ain't saved nothing. How do you expect God to bless that? And then when you get paid on Friday, on the 22nd, you're like, well, I could put $30 in, but I'm going to put 10. Like, what? How? What? And then when you get to your goal of next year being able to pay off this stuff because you had a goal to save, and you ain't even got half of what you saved or need to have saved, and you looking crazy like, oh, the Lord just always, I just can't even believe this. I believe God, and the devil just used me. He played with me. No, you play with yourself. Like, sometimes, like, we just go so far-fetched on stuff, because I do it all the time. I be like, Lord, I ain't even see that coming. You ain't even tell me it was coming, but it's all good. Like, but I want you guys to be, like, equipped with what you need for this journey, you know, because it's real, and whatever you're believing God for, I literally want you to receive that. Literally. I literally do. I want you guys to receive that. So I hope this episode blessed you. I will see you in the next podcast episode. Be mindful in your meantime. Make time for what it is you need to do, so that when God blesses you, you can properly receive it. I love you guys. Keep shining as the gems you are. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye.